India is a country where people don't hesitate before spending more than 100 rupees on a meal. India is a country where the number of millionaires is growing by the day. India is a country where more than 10 lakh tons of food grains rotted in godowns this year. India is a country where 1 million children die of hunger every year.
The country has done extremely well, or some people claim that it's done extremely well economically in the last couple of decades. But poverty levels have continued to be extremely high in the country. The NCEUS figure that says that 77% of Indians are living under rupees 20 a day. If you consider current food prices and then think that if you and I had to spend only 20 rupees a day, what kind of food would we be able to purchase?
The Food Security Bill proposes an entitlement of 35 kilos of food grain at 3 rupees per kilos for all households declared as being below the poverty line. But behind the bill lies the story of a crumbling public distribution system and gross apathy.
20 किलो गेहूं देते हैं, 10 किलो चावल देते हैं और तेल मिलता है जो 11 लीटर तेल हमें वहाँ से है अलाउड, यहाँ पर 8 लीटर तेल देते हैं। सारा ब्लैक करते हैं, हमारी आंखों के सामने ब्लैक करते हैं।
कि जितना अलाउ है बजट में उतना हमें राशन पूरा दिया जाए और रेट भी पूरे लिए जाए हमसे जितने की अलाउ है, लेकिन ये केवल एक बार देते हैं, एक बार के बाद अगर नहीं पहुँचा फिर छुट्टी।
The ration shops are closed most of the time. It's mandatory for a ration shop to display how much grain it will get on what rate it's going to give out, during what period, what is available and what time it's going to be open there. So all these things are not complied with.
Active intervention by forums like People's Union for Civil Liberties, the Human Rights Law Network and the Right to Food campaign prompted the Supreme Court to regard the right to food as a fundamental requirement for the right to life.
The petition was filed securing the right of poor people in India of right to food, and I don't see any intention of the government complying with those directions.
In spite of an impressive list of schemes like the Integrated Child Development Services, the Kishori Shakti Yojana, the Midday Meal Scheme, the state of child nutrition remains bleak. India has more malnourished children than sub-Saharan Africa.
Children with low birth weight, these children go on to catch infections and become progressively more and more malnourished and then become malnourished parents in their turn. So it's an intergenerational effect that is caused by gender.
Ensuring safe storage of food grain and perishable commodities is an essential requirement for food security. Experts believe that for maximum benefits, a universal PDS approach is required.
The failure of the PDS, one big reason is that it's not universal, and we know, I mean, I'm a public health person, so we know from the experience of schemes that if you target a scheme very narrowly upon very poor people, then it tends not to work. But for example, in a state like Tamil Nadu, where there's a great concern with food, and governments, will fall if people think that food prices have gone up, etc. So that's the place where the schemes related to food are also doing much, much better than elsewhere.
As talks of privatization of PDS are doing the rounds in corridors of policy making, experts believe it will serve as an impediment to the act.
Right to food is right to life. Hopefully, with the Food Securities Bill in place, this grain will reach to those who are in dire need of it, instead of rotting out here in open. With Zehra Kazmi, this is Akanksha Saxena for AJK MCRC.